What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another Hasbro Star Wars The Vintage Collection line market update. And lots of good items sold here recently. And the question I pose to you guys is, have prices kind of bounced off the lows over the last 3 months? It seems like some of the items that have sold here recently have kind of bounced off those lows. And a number of great TVC 1.0 sold here in this batch of items. There were some good deals, though, and everything from ungraded to graded, and including an at Walker that was mint and sealed box that was in really great shape that sold for a pretty big price. So let's go ahead and dig right in. The first one is VC000, the HasLab Jabba's Sail Barge pack-in of Yak Face on that Power of the Force 2 style card. The card looked really clean. You know, one thing to always keep in mind with this Yak Face is that because of the way it was packed or because of the way it was printed, that card back can often get a half circle indentation on the front of the card. This one looks like it does not have that, though, and it looked to be in really great shape overall. The only thing is it was only one photo, so it was really difficult to tell, you know, how clean it was. It might have had some very slight edge wear to it, but it looked pretty clean overall, probably an 85 plus condition. That one sold for $214.05. Now, if you remember from earlier last year, this item was kind of hovering between $300 and $350. That seemed to be the consistent price. So this is an example that kind of bucks that trend, and this one seems to be lower right now. It just seems like people have kind of moved on from this HasLab pack-in, and the price right now seems to be on the lower end of the range. Although I will say that because it was only one photo, that probably kept the price down on this one. But anyway, $214.05 plus $10.95 shipping took that home. Next up was a Dengar VC01, where it all started from 2010. This one sold for $110. So again, this one is a little bit higher than some of the recent sales prices and seems to have bounced off that low. Pretty clean overall condition. Lots of good photos. It did have a couple of issues on the back of the card, lots of edge wear, a little bit of peeling down there in the lower left-hand corner on the back. So this was by no means mint, but it still sold for $110. And we've talked about this one in a couple of recent updates where it was kind of between $100 and $125. This one sold towards the upper end of the range, even though it was not a perfect card. So just keep that in mind. Next up, this was a really interesting one. This was an unpunched original issue Boba Fett offerless. And, you know, tough to find this one unpunched offerless. And the price, again, reflected that. This sold for $195 free shipping. I mean, to me, I think that's a pretty good buy. It looks really clean. This is not the reissue. This is the original issue of VC09 on the Empire Strikes Back card. But that card looked really clean overall. Nice unpunched example. And, again, the price reflected that. I mean, you know, if it was a punched example, probably somewhere in the ballpark of $75 to $80 would be my guess at the upper end of the scale. So again, for a lot of these early TVC 1.0 that are unpunched, you're going to be paying a little bit more for them, and certainly this data point supports that argument. Next up was a Revenge of the Jedi offerless Rebel Commando. So this was the SDCC pack-in. This is the Black Rebel Commando. That one sold for $95 plus $10 shipping. I think that's kind of right in line with market. I looked up past sales over the last 3 months. There was another one that sold for $110. So I think that price was certainly a fair price given some of the other data points. This was an interesting one. This is the Super Battle Droid VC37. And this one was unpunched on the US card back. Very, very clean condition. And this is the highest price I've seen for the Super Battle Droid recently. So this is certainly an example of one that has bounced off the lows. This one sold for $177.50 plus $10 shipping. So, you know, almost $190 for the Super Battle Droid. And that was kind of a surprising price at the upper end of the scale. Next up was Jango Fett, and this one was unpunched on the US card back and kind of still hovers around that $130 price point. $130 plus $12.99 shipping on that one. And again, this one was in very clean condition. And I think that price was very fair, kind of, you know, right in line with past sales. I found another one at $133 plus shipping, another one for $144, and then another one for $126. So again, it's kind of right in the middle of that price point for an unpunched US card for Jango Fett. Next up was Luke Skywalker Death Star Escape, another one that's kind of still hovering lower than where it has been selling. It was unpunched on the U.S. card with the prototype Boba Fett offer sticker. That one sold for $60.99 plus $10 shipping. And this one got up to like 80 or 90 bucks for a little while there and has since come back down a little bit. So this one remains relatively low and kind of as you'd expect. I mean, that figure sculpt is pretty outdated and, you know, just seems like people are not willing to pay up for this one. Hopefully they'll re-release an updated head sculpt with maybe some face scanning technology for Mark Hamill and make this one kind of maybe an alternate card back image would be nice, something like that. Maybe with Luke overlooking the horizon on Tatooine. I think that would be a really a big seller. Now, if they released a vintage collection figure with the original vintage alternate image of Luke in the gunner seat, so the gunner style Luke from when he was in the Millennium Falcon gunner cockpit, that one would be very hot. I think that one would sell very well. It would be pretty easy to do, I would think, if they actually re-sculpted the image on this Luke farm boy. So I hope that they do that. I don't know if they ever will, but I hope they do. Next up is Commander Gree, unpunched. This one sold for $125 and fairly clean overall. By no means perfect. You can see on the hanger tab here that it was partially unpunched. So that punch had come out a little bit, or someone put it back in, you know, for this listing, and it may not be attached anymore. It certainly is, at a minimum, it's half punched. So that kind of kept the price down a little bit. It did have some edge wear as well in the lower left-hand corner on the front of the card back. That was still sold for $125 plus $12.45 shipping. I don't know if that was a fair price. That might be a little high just given the condition issues, but it is what it is for Commander Gree. And again, you know, you gotta be careful because it was labeled as unpunched, even though he did show in the photos that it was not fully unpunched anymore. So just make sure you check out all the photos. I thought this was a really great buy. I know who bought this, and congratulations to the buyer. But this is the red bandana Kithaba. So usually over here in the U.S., on these U.S. cards that are unpunched or punched, we usually get that brown bandana. And this one was for sale in the U.S. with the red bandana. Very tough to find this one over here. I know you guys in Europe get it pretty easily, but for us, especially on the U.S. card or the Canadian card, it's very tough to find this one. That one sold for $172.50 on 4 bids plus free shipping, and it looked to be in extremely clean condition. So congratulations who bought that one. Next up was an unpunched Revenge of the Jedi Princess Leia. This one had the offer sticker and the paperwork inside the blister, but a very clean example, and it only sold for $201. Now let's check out the photos to see if I'm missing anything. The front of the card back looked really clean. A little bit of card curl to it. The back of the card is where the damage is, so this is why it stayed down so much. It had a little bit of peeling down here by the proof of purchase, which the seller was kind enough to show. And you can also see just some light edge wear here and there. A little bit of an indentation from where the card was attached to the blister. A little bit of a stamp there. But, you know, I'd say this is probably 80 plus, 85 condition at best. But 201.38 is a lot less than what we saw in the last vintage collection market update. We've seen some examples that have sold for as high as $350 to $400. So I think that price was fair just given the condition issues. Next up is one we haven't talked about in a while, and that's Ponda Baba, Walrus Man. This one had the Boba Fett offer sticker, and it was a clean, unpunched card, really nice. That one sold for $110.49 plus $7.99 shipping. And I haven't found any recent sales prices for this one. I'm sure I missed a couple here or there, but you know, I know that just based on sales from last year, 6 to 9 months ago, it was all kind of in that, you know, 125 range. So it's come down just a little bit, but really nice image. I know some people don't like having that offer sticker right over top Walrus Man's face, so that could have held the price down. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen an offerless Ponda Baba, but if you guys have one, I'd love to hear about that. $110.49, took that one home, plus $7.99 shipping. Next is Aura Singh. This was an unpunched U.S. card back, VC73, and looked fairly clean overall, just a little bit of card curl to it, as you can see at the bottom there, a little bit of wave to the card that might come out in a star case, but this is another one that hasn't sold here recently. It got up to, I know, for about 140 or 150 bucks last year. So again, this kind of is against the trend that I was trying to demonstrate at the beginning of this video, that maybe they've bounced off the lows. But Aura Singh anyway has it still remains relatively cheap, $115 plus $9.29 shipping. Look how big that blister is on this one. That is a huge blister. It takes up a good solid 50% or more of the card back, but pretty great looking figure there, and I love that card image as well. So $115 plus another $10 shipping or so. Qui-Gon Jinn, I think this is one I had in my what to buy video, and I said, hey, you know, look, there's only one photo for this one, but it's unpunched, the US card back, and it sold cheap, $68 on 9 bids plus $6.30 shipping. Again, you're taking a little bit of a roll of dice here that this one is as clean as advertised, but it looks pretty nice. $68, again, took that one home. Next up is Oddball. It still is hovering around $100 to $125. This one is at the very upper end of the scale. $124.99 free shipping on this one, but it did look very, very clean in the photos. VC97 on the US card, again, unpunched with the Darth Maul offer sticker. And again, it's $125 seems to be the going rate for Oddball, even though it's kind of an outdated figure sculpt. It seems very rudimentary, almost kind of Power of the Jedi-esque with that figure sculpt, but still remains relatively high. I got a few 3-packs that sold. This one is the special action figure set, Android set from Target exclusive. It was a punched example. That one sold for $99, free shipping. And then we had the villain set that was also punched, another Target exclusive with Darth Vader, the Death Squad Commander, and the Stormtrooper. That one sold for $75, free shipping. And one we haven't talked about here recently, this was an unpunched SDCC exclusive, I believe from 2019. Don't quote me on that. With Dr. Aphra, BT1, BT1, and then 000. I always want to call him BT3. It's BT1. And I hope that we get this year at some point single carded figures for BT1 and 000. Obviously, they just announced a resculpt for the Black Series Dr. Aphra. Maybe they'll bring a new head sculpt for Dr. Aphra and re-release her on a new card back. But as for now, these are what you got to get. You can get VC 129, I believe it is, for Dr. Aphra on a single card, but no single card for the 2 droids. But if they do announce single carded BT1s and 000s, you can count me in for pre-ordering those. I've got to get those. That would be really awesome to get. So $102.50 plus free shipping on that one. And again, this one still is kind of creeping up in price for the longest time. I mean, you remember me talking about it. I was pounding the table saying, you got to buy this while this is between $40 and $60. And now they're going for almost over $100 pretty consistently here. There is also a European variant with multi-language on the front of this box. So keep an eye out for that one as well. Next up is that AT-AT Walker on the Empire Strikes Back packaging. This was a Toys R Us exclusive. The box was in pretty immaculate condition given the size of this thing. It did have one little ding there, as you can see, but overall extremely clean, mint and sealed box. Beautiful example. It was listed for $1,075 free shipping, and it sold. Best offer accepted was $850. So another big data point for that AT-AT Walker, that Toys R Us exclusive from 2010. Next up, we've got Zam Wessel. This one was an AFA 8.5 on the modern scale. This was the US card unpunched, and that one sold for $120 free shipping. And a couple of other graded examples. This is VC 150, Princess Leia Organa from the Yavin ceremony. It was 8.5 uncirculated. And obviously there is a VC 164 error card where on the back of the card it doesn't say VC 150, which is the correct number. VC 164 for some of those. I do have that one in my collection. VC 164 is Cara Dune, but some of them did make it out of the factory with the incorrect number before they had a running change and put it back to VC 150. But this seller had 3 uncirculated 8.5 graded Leia Yavins, and all 3 of them did sell for $120 plus $15 shipping. Next up was a CAS 85 Nama Nor. It was a punched example, and it was the US card back. It had the Darth Maul offer sticker along with that character debut sticker on the blister, and it sold for $99. I mean, I think that price is pretty fair, given that it was a punched example. I think it might have sold a little bit higher if it was a CAS 90 plus unpunched. I think it would probably be closer to $125 or more. But $99 took that one home, just given that it was a punched example and relatively low grade versus some of the others out there. Next up was an uncirculated 8.5 Droids Boba Fett, the Target exclusive. tough to find that one uncirculated, so somebody was able to procure a sealed Hasbro case of these Star Wars Droids figures. One of them did sell for $189.99 free shipping. Now, keep in mind, I documented on my last market update a UKG 90% that sold for less than half that price after adjusting for the currency conversion. It was over in the UK. A UKG 90 sold for about, I think it was $86 plus shipping. This one sold for $190, and it was an uncirculated 8.5, so really surprising price on that one. Same seller also had an uncirculated 8.5 for R2-D2 on that same card back, Target exclusive, and that one sold for $160. One of them did sell. There's one still available. And then for the Boba Fett, he also does still have one still available. The name of the seller is Disruptor, a pretty common seller of graded vintage collection figures over here on the US eBay. So if anybody wants to pay that big number, there's still one available for both the Boba Fett as well as the Droids R2-D2. So anyway, just some more data points, some of them surprising on the upper end. Some of them were still kind of below some of the recent market lows, but in general, it seems like the vintage collection is fairly healthy right now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.